So my name is Osarodion Victory Igbinobaro, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of AERO AI. And we actually started meeting Tech Alley a couple of months ago, I think early this year. Well, starting last year, but officially, we wanted to start a Las Vegas drone meetup. There's a lot of drone pilots in the city, a lot of people who work with drone tech, whether it's the actual technology that pilots drones or software, or people who do grants for drone technology projects, like emergency response. Like we've had several people. So we have in-house meetings here at Tech Alley, and we also have drone pilot flyouts, where we actually look for a spot around the city, and we go out, we invite a group of drone pilots, and we actually fly drones. So we did that last month. That's why we were in here at Tech Alley. We typically like to look for a space that has a lot of space and free airspace to fly. We did that at Cornerstone. So I see some of the people that were there last month are here now. Sweet. What do you guys think about that? Yep. Yeah. So that's me. I could just go ahead and introduce some members of the team, the people I know here. Richard works with AERO AI. We co-founded AERO AI together. Fabian is also a software engineer with our team as well. And I know Charles. I don't want to steal your spot, Shine, but if you want to go ahead and just a quick intro as to who you are, so that when we start mingling later, we all know who we want to talk to. So maybe I could start from you.
My name is Joy. I'm just here to learn.
Yeah.
Just want to know the right direction to get the license and get the trust. I want to get the trust. So next time, the next meetup, I want to be able to bring my phone and fly.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So
That's nice. That's really good. Welcome. All right.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Billy. This is my first time at Tech Alley. I just thought about this place like 2 days ago. Welcome. Guys, go check it out. I moved to Vegas recently. Like it's been 7-8 months. I work on electric vertical takeoff and landing airplanes. So I do guidance navigation control, and that's kind of how I'm do drones, because drones are an easy way to learn guidance navigation control. I don't fly drones that much. I have a DJI, but I have friends who fly FPV.
Nice.
There's nothing in front of those guys. So quietly sit down and watch them do their thing. But yeah, I just want to meet more people who are in the industry, because Vegas doesn't have much of that, and I kind of miss hanging out with my kind of people.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Welcome, Billy.
Yeah.
Dr. Welch.
I'm Renee Welch. I fell in love with drones a few years ago when I retired. I was bored. And I saw these wonderful, amazing machines doing everything from medical deliveries to food deliveries to running across these 30 industries. Ran out and got my pilot's license. And here I am. I started with actually writing grants for those in the UAS and advanced air mobility space. And then I most recently, now I am a co-CEO for a global company called We Robotics. Spans across 35 countries that are using drones to solve their local problems. So, but I'm happy to see this group, and I'm looking forward to the next meetup, and I'm all about drones.
Yes. She's got the money. You already know. All right. Fabian, let's do it.
Yeah, so I'm a software engineer intern for AERO AI, and I just recently started like 2 weeks ago. And right now, like we're working on just developing the product for the company, and mainly focused on like building the website for now. So yeah.
All right. Welcome, Fabian.
I'm Charles. I am founder of my own small company, field mapping group. Primarily, I just do mapping of roadways that have underground utility markings on them. Trying to work with AERO AI to give them that data, so that if you guys have ever seen their software, it's really immersive and intensive. And I'm hoping that we can find some sort of partnership down the road to make it work a lot better.
Sweet.
Do you do that visually, or are you using how are you mapping out their roadways?
Magic 3 Enterprise.
Okay.
I'm just mapping out just the general area with that, and
But
then
it's using visual.
yeah,
Okay.
and then from there I'm just giving him the data and then trying to see what he can do with his software.
Yep. Yeah, Charles joined us the first time last month. We're so excited to have you again, and Yeah, we're gonna talk a little more about that today.
I actually mapped out another area if you want.
Nice. All right, that's the spirit. Okay. All right, Richard.
Oh, I'm Richard, co-founder with him. But I'm learning how to fly a drone too, getting my Part 107. But on the topic of DJI getting banned, like I'm pretty sure everyone is learning how to fly, or when they first started, has used a DJI to learn how to fly.
Yep.
Like, how is that going to influence me? You know, or
Right.
like the future people who have to learn how to fly.
Yep.
If DJI is not allowed here, what are they going to have to spend $10,000 for the equivalent of DJI Mini? You know,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
this is turning into good topics. You know?
All right. Anyone else wants to introduce? Yeah, let's go.
My name's Douglas. I got into drones mainly because I do photography and video,
Nice.
and that's why I got into it as a hobby. And I think it was around 2015 I bought my first DJI drone, the old school white big one. Yeah. It's a big blade.
The Phantom. Yeah.
And I learned on that, and then I graduated to the Maverick Pro when it came out,
Nice.
which I have currently. So I've been doing that, and I'm here to meet new people that are into drones and make friends, and hopefully can go out and fly more with
Yep.
Yeah.
people I meet.
Yep. Yep.
Because I don't get chances to go out, because it's not as fun when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Trust me, I know how it goes.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan. You guys might have seen me around here. I've been in Tech Alley for quite a while now, and I've been a drone pilot now for 10 years.
Oh.
Yes. Good stuff.
I like it so much. I'm gonna move on to being a real pilot, flying airplanes. So right now
Sweet.
I'm at CSN in their professional pilot program. So hopefully one day I'll be flying it.
Good.
So that's
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, going for 1.1. Yeah.
Fantastic.
You want to get an ATP?
Yeah, ATP. That's gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
See?
1,500 hours, bro. I private 6-7 years ago when I was in school. Yeah,
Amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Best thing you can do.
It looks like we had.
My name is Gail. I know nothing about drones.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. We do see guests here, Jocelyn as well, and what was your name again? Caitlin.
Supporting this one.
Do you think Richard is crazy sometimes when he talks about drones, or do you find it fascinating? Like.
The meetup or the flyout that I
Right.
went to was the first time I've ever seen it in person.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So I was just like, I didn't realize it was such a niche community. So I was just like, whoa. So it was awesome.
Okay, Caitlin, we saw you last month
Yes.
as well.
Was last month your first
Yeah.
event? Oh,
That was
no, we connected over the fact that our partners were like,
Yeah.
other people were like,
Nice.
Well, welcome. I mean, this is the exciting part about the community. It's just seeing all kinds of people, and it really is a community. It's a growing industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry at the commercial level. So it's exciting to see engineers, see pilots, see grad writers come together to talk about these things. And the hope is that we can continue to push this conversation beyond conversations, make friends, right? Network with one another, find partnerships. It's just amazing to personally the people we've been able to engage in our company from this meetup group, and that's been great. But we also want to talk about walls, you know, and how they affect us. There are people who earn a living flying drones, and more of those people will see more of them in the future. So the laws that are being passed at the federal, state, local level will either help support these people or impede their operations. And we hope we can have a collective voice. But I put a little presentation together today, not so much of the presentation, but we already talked about the meetup we had at Cornerstone last week. But a few things we wanted to talk about today was the bill to really talk about DJI drones. I know some people have very strong opinions about this. I've always had strong opinions about DJI drones, concerns, but also just the technology and the impact it has in the US economy. And we can talk about the actual newest drone release if anyone's interested in that. And AERO AI is hosting a drone mapping and 3D modeling workshop we are experts in AERO AI. Feel free to reach out. We can talk about photogrammetry, LiDAR, and all that complex stuff. So it should be fun. And then I think towards the end today, we just want to kind of talk about the applications of drone tech, where you're currently using it. We want you to share with everyone that's in the team, or where you think we could leverage drones, and talk a little bit about the product we're building.
So much, but to push why it's so important for us to build this community. And finally, we have a Mingos session. So I'm just gonna jump into this bill real quick and have you. And we'll try to run through this as fast as possible. Everyone knows DJI, you know, they're Chinese drone manufacturer. They make amazing drones, amazing price points, great technology. They've been around for so long. I started flying drones while working for an engineering company, civil engineering, doing mapping and modeling, and DJI was the very first drone, a Mavic 2 Pro that I actually got. And it changed my life. It's a game-changing tech, especially at that level, when you see how much data you could collect with it and what you could use that data for when it comes to like designing infrastructure, designing buildings, and so on and so forth. So it's been amazing to just see DJI as a company dominate the whole drone industry, right? It's a company that was started by a guy who conceived the company from his dorm room and became a multi-billion-dollar company. And you have different people that are now flying DJI drones. But as you know, the proliferation of this drone have also led to, I guess, the less proliferations of other countries manufactured drones, like drones here in the United States and Europe. DJI currently owns 70% of the market, global market share of drones. And I think the past 4 years or so, I think it started with a report by the DoD, Department of Defense, talking about the threat, perceived or real, that we could have from just having law enforcement to firefighters. Even the Capitol Police uses DJI drones, right? And they're sharing concerns as to how they could be spying on Americans with that drone, even though there wasn't really that much technological detail to prove that claim. So people are saying it's lobbying from American drone manufacturers. Some people, not me, so you don't quote me. Some people are saying it's lobbying from American drone manufacturers to kick DJI out of the game. And some others are saying these are real security threats that people should look at. And I just wanted us to discuss a little bit. For those of you that know about DJI drones, feel free to chime in. There's also other related technologies that could pose similar threats, like the mobile phone, right? We don't know why people don't go crazy about that, but it looks like everyone's so excited about drones, and you know, this negative spying rhetoric that's been pushed around. It could be really harmful if it's just rhetoric, if it's not actual threat that we could be facing, but it could also be potentially devastating to our industry in the future if we don't take it seriously, if it's an actual threat. So, you know, from what I think it's the bill itself. The bill itself proposes to have a complete ban. So it's been happening in phases, right? First, I think a year or two ago, they proposed to ban it completely for federal projects. So federal officials could not use DJI drones for their projects. And these are guys who already probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars buying these drones. Problem is, there's no other drone manufacturer currently in the market that makes drones at this price and with this level of technology. You know, the $2,000 DJI drone, the closest thing you will find here in America is probably be around $6,000, $7,000 or even more. And there's issues like scalability. How many drones as a local manufacturer could you make to actually supply the market that's in huge demand, right? So there's this bill that came after that. I think Florida recently completely banned DJI drones, right? You can't even use it. I mean, that's huge. If you're someone who does utility, who does mapping, and you're spending $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 buying drones and sensors, and you have a fleet of them, and now they're saying, hey, you can't get a federal contract just because you're flying Chinese-made drones. It's huge. And you can see a lot of why drone pilots and sensor manufacturers are crying. But this new law takes it to another level. They're saying, hey, we don't want nobody flying DJI drones. And, well, it's not a law, it's a bill. It hasn't been passed yet. And I just thought it would be so interesting because I see a few people have talked about flying DJI drones. What do you guys think about this drone? I mean, whether it's from a rhetoric perspective or from a tech perspective, how do you feel about this bill?
It's stupid.
It is? Why?
I just don't see how thinking of a drone is they're using a drone to spy on us. And billions of people have cell phones, the chips are made there as well. Why are they talking about that? Why are they focusing on drones? I just think they're looking at drones as a way to not, they're using China as a, just as a scapegoat.
Right.
Yeah.
They just don't want people flying drones around because it's in the airspace, whatever. But I look at it more like that. They just like a Karen somewhere complaining. This is an example. I think it comes down more to that, honestly.
Does
My
this,
opinion.
sorry. Does this bill specifically just target DJI, no other manufacturer at all?
As far as I know, yeah, it's DJI. DJI is taking. I mean, they're literally blacklisted.
Yeah.
You don't even see them in certain meetups and like
It's a,
trade shows and so on and so forth. They don't even get invited anymore.
why are they targeting Autel?
Well, good question, right? So Autel is another Chinese drone manufacturer, but they recently moved some of their facility to the United States, and they're claiming that their drones are made in the USA, making it NDA compliant. So basically, it's a list of drones that the Department of Defense has deemed to be safe for use here. So yeah, they're not unfortunately getting that same backlash, but for some reason, DJI, the monster company, is being attacked. Well, I don't know if I agree with you, but you know, it's good to hear your point. Anyone else that has something to say about this ban and whether it's related to business, to tech? Yes.
All I can say is that bill is just a bill. It needs to be passed.
Yeah.
Until it's passed, they're just talking about it.
Right.
Maybe it will not pass.
That is true too.
But here's the thing, as long as people keep up a conversation about whatever the topic is, it still has power behind it.
Right.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that we can do to prevent this bill from passing?
Thank you, Richard. That's a good question. Yes. Very good question. Yeah, you could write to your you could write to your commissioners, senators, reps within your state. You can actually write them an email. And actually there is a form. I don't know that I want to push this form, and because I'm not anti-DJI, but you know, from my perspective, you know, I share the same opinions with you, but after seeing the things that have been happening in Ukraine the past 1 year, you know, I've taken a step.
Says this whole situation. This is a game-changing technology, right? That's going to impact our lives not just now, but 20, 30, 40, 50 years into the future. It is far-fetched to think that drones currently today could just send images that they're taking from America to China using satellite signals. I don't even think that's possible, right? Because they're just commercial-grade drones. But these things, the drones we fly, some of them are already connected to the internet, right? They will eventually be connected to the internet as we fly beyond visual line of sight, long distances, as they become more integrated into our own lives. Some of these perceived threats could eventually become real threats, right? Where, you know, I don't want to go too deep into it, but just high level, you know, you just imagine, right, where you have farmers or even firefighters, people who have massive fleets of drones that are connected to the internet, and all of a sudden those drones could potentially be grounded, right, by just sending certain signals, or being hacked into, right, and have their path being altered, where if it's a drone that's doing agricultural spraying, it just has to be a little code that says, hey, spray less, and that could affect a whole. I know they seem very hypothetical, but you look at some of, yeah, I mean, you see some of these drone hacks and how drones are being used in Ukraine. These are drones that we fly. These are not Air Force $5 million drones. These are $2,000 drones that anybody could have, being reinforced with the wrong kind of code, retrofitted with the wrong kind of hardware, and doing serious damage, right? It's all nice and lovely, and everyone's at peace right now, but we know humans, at times where we go into periods of instability and conflict, and it will be naive to think that countries would not use the technologies at their disposal to reach their mission. I think it's also concerning, I think, when you think about this and you think about social media and even Tesla vehicles, right? There's certain countries where you don't have Facebook, right? You don't have Google, you can't just access it. It's a reason, because there's data companies and drones collect data. So those same countries, they understand, and we've seen, in the early days of social media, no one would have thought Facebook or any of these companies could be places where serious political, tensions erupted from. You had governments being toppled as a result of social media. So it's concerning. I do know that I think sometime last year that the Chinese government banned some of their high-ranking officials from driving Teslas, because Tesla cars have the cameras on them. So they're saying you could potentially use that to spy on government compounds and what's around the government area. So these are real threats. I mean, not now, they're perceived threats, a lot of them, but they could eventually evolve to become real threats. But does that mean we ban all DJI drones? I don't know. I think that would do more harm than good, right? There's so many people relying on this tech, right? And America's not ready yet on the manufacturing level. I'm just saying what the market is saying. This is not me. Because if they were, they would have 50% of the market share and not less than 30, right? So these are real concerns and things to think about. I know there's a lot of rhetoric. I am pretty sure there's a lot of lobbying. I'm sure. I know it's happening. But all the time, that's what I hear. I hear people always saying, oh, it's all rhetoric, and that's the message I was pushing for a long period of time. But after talking to a few people and seeing what this tech could do, I kind of stepped back a little bit. And we as a company, we're reassessing the hardware that we want to use to collect data sets, because privacy is big out here and security also is. So those things could make or break you as you think forward. So I agree, it's still a bill, but that bill continues to raise that rhetoric, and people are looking at DJI drones that, oh, yeah, they're bad. So if you're looking at having a business or a tech or a software company in the drone industry, this is something that should concern you. And you should think very, very, very carefully and critically about, because I don't see it going away. I just don't. Yes.
I've seen a couple of things, Victory. On the one hand, from the grant writing side, I wish you could see how many agencies go around this blue list, and now the green list is coming out for drones.
Yep.
So it is a way to get around it. I've seen folks do it, right? Or either they don't go for the federal money and they go for something else. It's like, oh, we just can't get through over here for this money, but we're gonna go over here and get the money. The other thing I see is a lack of public awareness and stakeholder education and knowledge. Like, we can't all rush on down and say something about it if we don't understand it. For instance, the businesses that are using drones, obviously some of them get it. That doesn't mean the whole agency gets it. It might mean, oh, you came in and now you're working as an engineer and that's your tool of choice. Doesn't mean that the corporations and the businesses get it to rally behind. So the fact that it is a bill means pretty serious, pretty intense, and I can see it happening, with, like I said, Florida leading the way. Now that I'm working with a global company, it is amazing to me how they just build drones, to be honest. It's like, okay, we got a real problem over here. We got food deserts, or we need to do medical deliveries. They go build a drone, they fly it. And I guess that's their way of saying, we're not going through all of this other stuff. So I wonder how long it's gonna take before we do that. Like, I know a couple of companies, I know one down here, I think it's supposed to be a secret, but they're looking to manufacture a drone. She said it was a secret. But they're building the drone, but it's like you said, if we're not manufacturing the certain chips and parts here,
Mhm.
I don't know what we'll ever
Yes.
do.
Yep.
I don't know.
And Billy, maybe this is a question. I guess.
Yeah, right. I was just about to ask.
Do you think? I could be wrong. I don't think drones are that hard to build.
No, drones are not that hard to build. I've been building them for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm still, I don't know the details, so I can't really make a judgment call. But in terms of technology, the data the drones are capturing is extremely high bandwidth,
Right.
and it's very unorganized. So the data our phones capture through Instagram, TikTok, when they make the TikTok argument, I'm all for it. I'm like, yeah, delete that.
Get rid
And I
of
think
it.
it's also making us dumb. Like 6% of people think the earth is flat. So, yeah, 6% of Americans think the earth is flat.
Wow.
So for me, delete TikTok, like I'm all for it. But this is high bandwidth, very unorganized data, which is in public information, right? Like you can go get a police body cam footage. Why can't you get footage of the roads, right? And military bases have not allowed DJI since at least 2020. Like we operate at a military base, and we brought a DJI drone, and they were like, no. So we had to buy a Skydio drone, which is a US company. And I'm a big fan of Skydio. Like I love what they're doing. But overall, I don't know if the data argument makes sense. But from a competitive, that it helps the American drone industry. I see that. But yeah, I don't feel strongly about it either way.
So one of the things I guess that I see a lot with and it's stifling growth of the commercial side of things is that companies like Skydio or American companies that are making drones, they make a drone and they just secure a partnership with the Department of Defense and they don't care about anyone else.
Yeah.
Right, and I think there's a disconnect there, right? We need these kind of drone capable M350 RTK that can have multiple sensors of them made here for the community, right? Because there is a lot of people in different industries that have the money to pay for these drones, but you can always jack up the price for the military and say, hey, this $5,000 drone is $25,000. And the budget is there, so you can get away with that. And this is a concern that's shared by so many people. Like, how do we actually afford these drones that are built here? Yeah, it's not hard to build. The parts to put together. Even saying it's not hard to build is, it's not hard to build one, but it's probably hard to build 20,000, right?
At the right price point, yeah.
Right, exactly. So
Scaling is hard.
that's hard, and I think that's some of the things of the world you're saying about, hey, chips that are going on this thing, some of the hardware, they're not even made here. So I think it's a huge opportunity. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges, but it's a huge opportunity. But I see people just fall short when they try to make a drone and they make it for law enforcement, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but what about the mappers? What about the utility inspectors? What about the aerial photographers? What about there's so many people that could use this tech. They just don't have access to it at a price point that's competitive. All right, I guess we can kind of wrap this part of the conversation up. If anyone else has something to say regarding the DJI band, please go ahead. If you do, want to share anything else?
Looking at that beautiful machine behind
Yeah,
it's
so nice.
It's so
I think this drone goes for
$13,000.
$13,000. I mean, this thing is a beast.
It's a beast.
It's such an amazing drone.
It's a
The
workhorse.
closest thing you will find here will probably be like 30 grand. And will not work as good as it. So as someone who's a fan of the tech, I don't think it's ideal to have rhetoric based on where it's being built and so on and so forth. I just think we need to create better drones. And hopefully we get there. Skydio just raised a bunch of money last year. I think early this year. So maybe we can create a drone that has multiple sensors, interchangeable sensors. That's super important, not just fixed cameras, right? But hopefully we eventually get to that point one day. And if you have some time, you wanna email your rep or say, oh, I went to this drone meetup today and I think it's crazy. Let's not pass this bill into law. Please do that if you like DJI drones. Yes, please.
We actually, as you were talking, I was doing some research because I'm so third party to this conversation.
Yep.
He has the drone. I've seen him fly it. I flown it a little bit. I'm scared to break it. It's expensive. But we found the letter a specific letter that some drone company wrote out. If anybody wants it by the end of this, happily send the link. Yeah, because it's literally just insert representative's name and send it via email. Like, okay, easy peasy.
Sweet. You can share that. Like, where did you find that? Is that by Harrison Noel?
Let's see, hold on.
Because I know Harrison Noel with Rock Robotics had
It's
this.
from Drone Excel.
Okay.
And it's a response to, it's a template for the DJI ban. I did not read it fully because I was paying attention, but I figured it might be beneficial because it talks about multiple levels of why this ban would not be beneficial to us and kind of like the detriments to it. So
we can get a link from you, and we have a QR code people can scan later, and you can go ahead and send that email. But yeah, it's concerning. There's real concerns. I mean, everyone's bought a DJI drone, so you just say we're just gonna throw our drone away. So I'm down to send that letter too, because I kind of want them around at least to keep the competition going, right? When there's that competition, innovation keeps going. This is a little shameless plug by AERO AI. We're a drone mapping technology company. We create software to help people immersively and interactively visualize drone data. So mostly people who fly drones will typically capture pictures with them, but how I actually got into drones was doing 3D modeling by hand in a CAD program, like computer program, and realizing drones can do that. So you could not only just capture pictures, you could create a 3-dimensional image or a model that has way more use cases than a typical imagery. So we've been engaging with people, had some people that are experts in drone mapping, and people who are also excited about drone maps. So I have a QR code. This is just sort of like an interest form to see who's interested in this upcoming drone mapping workshop. We'll go through data collection. So you need multiple software programs when you're doing drone mapping, software to plan the flight path, so the grid or wherever you're gonna scan, you need that. So we're gonna go over that. Once you do the flight planning, you actually do the data execution, where you take that flight path that you've planned and you use it to fly something called waypoints, where the drone goes around and automatically just captures that data. So we'll go around and show, using a designated spot, how that works and scan a specific area. We'll also show how to use GNSS receivers. These are satellite receivers that help you create more accurate maps that will look good in front of a civil engineer, surveyor, or anyone else who needs that data. And then once the data capture is done, we bring the data back home. We'll get into a room like this as well and show you software tools, some of which we are building to help process those imagery into 3D models. And depending on where you actually capture that data, who could potentially use that data sets. So this is part of our mission to continue to build this community to map the world. We think drones have the capability of providing real-time maps at higher resolution and quality, more accurate and more recent, so we could build something similar to Google Earth. So this is coming up, and I'll put up a QR code shortly for those that are interested to scan it and just show us the level of interest.
I have a question.
Yes.
Google Maps, are they using data maps collected with drones?
Good question. Well, I hope at some point they reach out to us. So as far as I know, they're using satellite imagery and they're contracting aircraft, manned aircraft, right? This is really because of the coverage area. I think they need 1 square kilometer captured daily, from what I've heard. So with the typical quadcopter drone, it's really hard to do this. 1, because of range. 2, because of the laws. You have to maintain visual line of sight with the drone. You can't fly over people. There's so many certain laws that limit drones for capturing Google Earth's data. So they rely on contracted companies that are flying either manned aircraft, or they rely on their actual satellites that they have, right? Satellite imagery. There's several problems with this. Google Maps, I'm not trying to talk down on Google, but it's true. These are satellite-based maps, and no reliable engineer and in terms of the accuracy, they're off by feet and not even inches. So you can't really use that, and some of them are outdated.
You'd be surprised how much they're using Google
Exactly, but it's not ideal, right? And even when they use it at that very high conceptual schematic level.
Yeah.
When you start getting into design documentation, where you actually need the data to build the actual infrastructure, yeah. Whoever's relying on Google data at that point,
to be surprised just how much the engineers in my company rely on that data.
really,
Yes.
you see, so there you go again, right? So, but oftentimes, I know one of the big from company I work with was the recency or the currency of that data. You know, it's not like it's typical sometimes to see certain parts of Google Maps not be updated for up to 6 months, right? So when you need that 3D model, which you cannot download, so it's like your maps is actually like a look, but you can't touch or use, which unless you go around it, there's so much that goes into that, but you can't really access your maps. It's not high-res enough, and it's not current enough. So really, and this is one of the motivations behind our companies as we see the growing proliferation of drones, commercial drone pilots and mapping, we could start to fill in that gap. We could provide more using a distributed data capture process by really working coordinated with drone pilots. We could capture this data, process it, make it high-res, make it engineering, survey grade level, and make that data available. So when we talk about this data, this is kind of something we're talking about the kind of maps when you use photogrammetry, drones based with cameras instead of LiDAR, you could create. This is something we created a few months ago of this area we're currently right here. And this is the kind of maps the models you'll be able to create, hopefully after the workshop, to learn how to deploy the software to capture, process, and to visualize the data. So I think we captured this under 30 minutes, right? Most of the time, data capture is fairly fast. What really takes time is the processing and the post-processing and getting it out there. But I mean, just looking at these data sets, those of you that have looked at Google, I mean, the difference is clear just looking at it from here, right? And so this is comparing drone-based imagery to satellite-based imagery and manned aircraft. I mean, you think about the difference. You're flying a drone under 400 feet, or you're flying an aircraft at 32,000 feet. You know, even if you had the best cameras up there, it's still hard to get that level of precision. You could, but with drones, I know you could get sub-centimeter level precision, RTK drones, so you could be as precise as 1 centimeter. And that's highly accurate, and that's the kind of data that engineers and architects, urban planners, city planners, at a detailed level would want to rely on. So we want to proliferate, instead of creating just this small area, we'll be mapping certain areas, but we want to consolidate that effort with other drone pilots and their hardware to collect more data sets. Obviously, we have to curate that, and that's why we're starting with this workshop to see who's up for it, who has the right hardware. That's part of the questions you get later from the QR code that I have. But eventually, we want to be able to map out these areas and have the people who created those maps be attributed to the maps, and they can then have that disseminated to the people who need them, whether it's Google, whether it's an architect, whether it's anyone else. I studied architecture at UNLV, and you know, going to school and even working after that, it's a typical process before you build anything to understand what's on the land, and that understanding could save you a lot of time and money. So being able to create this level of insights and to create this kind of maps readily available for architects provides a lot of value to them and speeds up their workflow. We've had several people that have reached out for our data sets. We're probably using our data sets within Vegas, and we hope to continuously grow as AERO AI. So I know that's really tiny. This is Vegas. This map actually shows a map called, is it me or is it really hot in here?
It's hot.
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, do we do something about it? We open the doors. I mean, I don't want to get fried in here, man. Like, I'm sorry about that. Okay. So just to talk a little bit real quick about where some of these maps and models could be used. This is actually a map that we created as AERO AI, and the base, I guess, the map under is something called opportunity zones. These are areas within Vegas, or the city of Las Vegas, that has either potential developments coming up where understanding and intelligence of the land will be needed, or they're being developed already, there's buildings there, or there are plans to do something. So it's a huge, as you can see, the green areas, the purple areas, these are all areas that can potentially be scanned, not just once, maybe recurrently. So if you're interested, definitely some of those areas have cultural sites, certain schools and government buildings, and be interested to talk to the people who are working there. We talk to teachers and students who see the opportunities of having like the 3D models of their actual properties to teach students or interest them with drones. And then there's the opportunity zones themselves. There are parks. I'm specifically excited about parks. We have so many of them. We have meetups at parks. These are areas around the city that change very rapidly, right? It's biodiversity, being able to map them on demand and provide that data to the city or anyone else who needs to understand the changing conditions of parks. It's a lot of opportunities there as well. And there are other natural resources. There's a lot of mining that goes on in Nevada as well, right? It's so hard to get in touch with some of these people sometimes because it's a niche and they have specific workflows. But as we have these meetups, as a guy who does drone mapping and modeling, there's a utility person, there's a grant person, we can build the community to eventually be at a place where it's a repository for knowledge as well. Instead of just meeting and talking, but we can also make friends, connect with people, hopefully share hardware, right? From our last meetup, someone emailed me and was talking about, hey, I want to get into drones, but I don't have no drone. And they're quite expensive for my price point. And guess what? I have a drone that's sitting in the house right now. It's doing nothing. And it would be nice to be able to give that to a person, either for a fee or just have them go use it, right? As long as it's insured. So these are things that could eventually be built, and some of them are already happening within these communities. So we're really excited to continue to build it with mapping. And please, if you have any specific drone applications that you're looking at, that you have interest in, that you have expertise in, please feel free to reach out. We have these meetings every month. So next month, we're not going to be here. We're going to be flying somewhere. So you would get invite to join us at that point. But please, we want to grow the industry in Vegas. I think there's so much opportunity here. And part of doing that is building the community and creating tools to get it done. I think that would... All right, so these are just industries that we've worked on: telecommunication, modeling of sites. This is the 7 Magic Mountains that we captured using a drone. And we also build a game engine software. I don't want to go too deep into this because this is just a meetup for everyone else. But it's one thing to capture the data and process it, but you have to visualize it in a way that's really interesting. And that's what we specifically build for. There's also energy, and this is super exciting, especially the solar energy industry, having thermal drones to do solar panel inspections, if you're interested in that. I mean, there's a ton of grants on that. You can talk to Dr. Welch about it. This is the city of the sun, so I expect there's going to be more solar panel and roofs and solar plants. So knowing how to use a drone to inspect and detect anomalies in the solar array is a growing market. I've been to trade shops where this is all certain pilots do. So you can see there's different verticals to it. And just to wrap it up, some of you guys might have been thinking, what am I talking about when we say our software? This is what we're building at AERO AI. We are really using game engines to create a more fun way to visualize drone data, right? A way that's more immersive, that's more interactive, that can consolidate multiple data sets in one place. I know this may seem a little like, why would these be needed for certain people? But if you want to talk about it later, we could. But typically, the reason why we're building this software is that when people process their drone data into 3D models, they don't often have tools to consolidate multiple models in one place and visualize them in a way where it's more immersive, it's more interactive, it's more like you would in the real life. So we're using a game engine, literally a tool that's used to build video games, to build a software so that people you can have an avatar that works around on the construction site as a construction worker. You can have the model and images embedded in there. So we're building a private version of this software, and we're also building a marketplace version. And this is the part of the software that would let multiple drone pilots to be able to share their data sets with the people that need it. Some of the deliverables that we provide in-house, I don't want to go too deep about it. And I will wrap it up here, just showing what our software program looks like. And everything you've seen is drone data that we've collected around several areas within Las Vegas. So this is our actually very first drone pilot meetup. We went to Pioneer Saloon, for those of you that know it. And I think a few people were there. And we scanned the area. This is the kind of 3D model that you would create from the drone. And this is our software, bringing it into the drone. No pun intended, this is game changing, right? It's actually, this was one of the reasons that got me so excited about drones, understanding how we could build multiple locations, how we could create more interactive methods of looking at drone data. So we have different locations around it. You see, we even scan interiors. So you could, it's not the perfect drone data sets right now because we did this for fun when we went out as a group of drone pilots. But one of the persons that came to that meetup brought a terrestrial laser scanner. And that's one of the cool things I like about this community is just the amazing people you meet. So Chris from Build Smart actually came with a laser scanner, and he uses that to scan interiors of buildings, and we can scan the exterior. So we decided to do both. We scanned the interiors of this actual site, and we scanned the exterior as well, and we joined it together. So anyone can visit it virtually. We shared it with the owners of the property, and they were very excited. So this is just one way. We're using it for public good. It's not all profit, right, for AERO AI or for the community. But eventually, we hope we could do that. We hope you could find partnerships and jobs and so on and so forth to continue to build this community. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. If anyone has any questions or any comments, please feel free to bring it up. At this point, we're just doing a meet and mingle. Please talk to someone. Like, take someone's contact and actually get involved and talk to somebody before you leave so you can get excited. Exactly. Yes, go ahead, please.
Now, how do we contact you? Do you want to go directly through your site? Because I have all of these possible partnerships and projects in my head, but I want to know how do I reach out?
All right. So please scan this QR code. Yeah, that was the next thing. So these actually just gets information for people who are interested in drone mapping and 3D modeling. But once you fill out this form, we also, even if you're not, you just say no, we get your information. So please do that and put in your info. Yes, Charles. You don't need to fill that out again, do you? What? You don't need to fill that out again, do you? No, I have your contact, man. I do. I have your card. I have your card. So yeah, please reach out, wherever. Partnerships with students. We hope we can have more high school kids coming out here. Dr. Welch and I are putting something together that's exciting and hopefully comes together soon. But we're super excited about this community. I mean, it's fun tech.